Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California. Set your coordinates to Los Angeles, to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Man, it's been good to take just a little bit of a breather. I swear to you, almost everyone I know in my life has just kind of taken a little bit of a break recently. Alright, maybe not everyone I know, but a lot of people have. I do know that my buddy Marc Clair has recently just had a chance to catch his breath. My buddy Blake Wally has had a chance to catch his breath. Maybe it's something about us radio people. We know what we're in for with these coming elections and a brand new war. I think maybe we all just wanted to decompress, get caught up on stuff, because it's about to be a bumpy ride, folks. Welcome to thenewamericanmedia.com and Agree to Disagree. I am your host, as I said, Brian Engelman. Welcome to all of what we do here and what we've done for the past 3.5 years. I want to, before we get into things with special guest Marc Clair from Lions of Liberty, yes, check out the site, lionsofliberty.com, and all of his awesome podcast interviews. Please check those out. But before we get to our guest, I just want to say real quick, please check out the homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. We are now looking for content contributors, and I guess we always have been, but this is kind of a 3.5-year-long beta test, if you can believe that. This has all been a project, a work in progress, if you will, and it's really go time. It's time to participate. It's time to engage. It's time to multiply our efforts. So we've launched a new radio site that we haven't really been doing all that much with, a bunch of beta test shows, but I think that's going to turn into something that's blogtalk.com/thenewamericanmedia. Some things are going on over there. We're looking for people to help us just add all of the relevant financial, political, spiritual, sports, opinion, health, all the issues that you kind of care about. It's time that we sign you up as one of the New American Media members, and you help drive the news, as Blake always says, and contribute articles directly to our webpage. We want you to team up with us to follow certain issues throughout the day, every day, and then you build a team around you as we pump that content through our Twitter feed, which is on the bottom right of that homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. Sign up for our Twitter feed. It's at American_media_, and right around that same place on the everything's going on the right side of thenewamericanmedia.com. When you have TNAM radio, that's where you click to listen live. We never really promote that very much. It's, I don't know, not that we can't take calls, and not that it isn't fun taking calls, because we do that in different platforms, but that's where that's at on the right side of the page. And then Facebook, you can do a search first, The New American Media, with spaces in between, and like the page, but you can do it right from our homepage there as well, because it's go time, folks. We're in war with Syria. There are human beings being decapitated. Hey, guess what? In Oklahoma. No, this is someone else's problem. That's some other country. I don't care. Guys, come on. Wake up. Wake up. This is your problem. How did we get here? How do we get out of here? What's the Republican idea? What's the Democrat idea? Well, you see how well that's worked for us over the past 100 years, right? Where two parties own a complete monopoly on this entire system, and they play adversaries, but they work together, and they have their own agendas that they will steer us along for, regardless of what we want to do. You know, I wonder what the libertarian agenda would be. And I find myself more and more disenchanted with the, well, I think Marc, I'm trying to remember if it was Marc who said he's a former neocon that went libertarian. So let's bring in Marc Clair from Lions of Liberty right now, and let's have him explain some of the differences between libertarianism, Republicans, Democrats, and what his take is on this whole Syria thing.
Well, here we are again.
Yes, we are, sir. How you doing today? Welcome to the program.
Living the dream, as they say. I believe that's the phrase the kids are using nowadays.
Mark is always the comedian. Yeah, he knows that's my ongoing catchphrase since I was, I don't know, like.
I think I got to it before you too this time.
Yes,
Stole your thunder a little bit.
Well, you know, in my other life, I might have said that about 20 times today. But yes, in this program, in this broadcast, yes, you scooped me. You scooped me, Mark.
Nice. It's very rare that I can get a scoop on you because you're usually on top of this stuff a lot more than I am.
Oh, Lord Almighty, I try, but I can't even begin. I don't know if you heard the beginning of the program, but I think what we're doing now is we're teaming up on a new project with Dan Johnson of Panda, People Against NDAA. Mark, you and I were talking off air. There's a project you're working on with some podcasts, maybe teaming up with a group of people, starting a channel, kind of like we're doing on Blog Talk, where a lot of people can jump in and say, hey, you do the Tuesday show. Or, hey, I can do the Friday show this week. And it's like first come, first serve, week to week, like sign up and do a show on our network. It just kind of seems like all of us are moving forward and trying to, you know, to take the vitamins and take another step. Are you feeling that specifically on your side at Lions of Liberty?
Say your prayers and eat your vitamins. That's what Hulk Hogan used to say.
Say your prayers.
That's where I got my morals for many years was basically from Hulk Hogan. So, and now I'm here. Now I'm here, giving the libertarian perspective on things. But yeah, I was listening to the show earlier when you were talking about kind of taking a break. I mean, I don't know. I went on vacation a few months ago, and then my career work life has been pretty crazy. So in a lot of ways, I've been disengaged from, you know, every news story you ran by me before the show. I hadn't even really heard about yet. So I'm kind of disengaged in many ways, but you know, I'm still in there. I'm getting our weekly podcasts out. I'm keeping this website going because, you know, even when time is scarce, it's important to at least get the bare minimum of the conversation continuing and that kind of thing. Because guess what, the world keeps on going around even when things get busy, you know.
Yeah, you know, and here's kind of the beauty of this. Something I haven't really taken a lot of time to think of, but you got me thinking here, Mark. You know, yeah, what?
We're gonna need to extend the window for this broadcast.
It's a trap. No, but it has me thinking, because if you're not, you know, name. I'll tell you what, Mark. Why don't we try it this way? I was going to name a couple of people. Why don't you name me about 5 people in the alternative media or mainstream media that you've been paying a little bit of attention to over the past year, and you're kind of digging at least a chunk of what they're up to? Give me 5 names.
5 names. Wow. Well, we got Marc Clair at Lions of Liberty.
Yes, sir.
Number one guy on my list. You got Brian Engelman at New American Media. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. I mean, I do think we're good sources for things. But let's see. I'm really a big fan of Ben Swan, who started his own project in the last year or so. I've had him on the show. I know you've spoken to him a couple times on your show as well.
Indeed.
And I think he's just really doing some groundbreaking stuff. I really hope he can get some more mainstream attention. I know behind the scenes, I'm privy to a little information. I know that he's kind of been has been in talks to possibly, you know, move to a mainstream network at some point. So we'll see where all that goes. I wish him the best. Yeah, Ben Swan is great. You know, in terms of foreign policy stuff, I've been kind of keeping up. Scott Horton is an absolutely great guy as far as foreign policy goes. He has a show on the Liberty Radio Network every single day from 12 to 3. Highly recommend listening to him. He's just an absolute great source for any really foreign policy information. Same goes for Justin Raimondo over at antiwar.com. Kind of a must daily stop for me for my foreign policy news. How many does that? If I count us, I think I'm already at 5. But
I think you're close enough, because and thank you for being so gracious as to do that at the drop of a hat. But you know, you never know where these interviews are going to go, which is kind of the fun and the beauty of the art. It kind of, you know, you paint with your words, and it's at the end of the show, what do you have? Sometimes you have no idea where you're headed, and the picture paints
also,
itself.
One more guy I want to mention is Russ Baker over at whowhatwhy.com. He really does a lot of investigative journalism independently, all on his own, and he's one thing he's really been looking into is these Boston bombing suspects, a lot of the weird stuff that's gone on with the FBI surrounding people they've spoken with. You know, one guy was mysteriously killed, supposedly in self-defense, by an FBI agent while being interrogated. This is stuff I had, you know, from a few months ago, but I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, that was down in Florida. He might have even been restrained. They said they attacked him with a javelin or some sort of the hell was the story? A
Yeah,
big
there
steel
was
pipe?
There was some weird story about how somehow this guy in a room with 3 armed FBI agents was a threat to their lives.
Well,
I think. Yeah, I don't know if he was shot in the back. I get so confused.
All of these crazy stories.
I don't know if this is the one where the kid was shot in the back of the head or not, but there's stuff like this all the time.
And that's the insanity of it, Mark. This stuff doesn't stop, and it's like, wait, is that the one where the cop shot at the guy because he was at a gas station and wasn't wearing his seatbelt? No, that was Lavar Jones, I think, in Georgia. That happened very recently, and it just popped on my radar. No, it's not that one. Was the Tsarnaev thing? Yeah, I think it was Florida at a kitchen table. Yes, very well surrounded, and he attacked him with a spoon, and then he got killed. Or something stupid like that. But the reason, back to whowhatwhy.com, Russ Baker, because I think I've heard him with either on Coast to Coast or with John B. Wells, one of those guys, and if I recall correctly, a very sharp guy. I'll have to double check if it's the exact same, but I remember that website name, the whowhatwhy.com. But what I was saying is, the fun thing about doing a show, Mark, if we're not people like George Norrie, like Ben Swan, like Russ Baker, Scott Horton, when that's your full-time thing that you do, you have a lot more time to prepare and get organized and have cheat sheets in front of you and have a team with all of your go-to guests. Hey, there's a story on the economy. Go get my Wall Street guy. Go get Steve. Hey, another Syria thing. Bring Ken back into the program. What's going on with Cleveland sports? Hey, let's go get Chuck. And
I gotta say, I have the utmost respect for people that do this full time. I mean, just activism, being involved in the issues, whatever. I mean, I don't think I would even want to do it. I mean, just because I need that to vent in other ways. I think I would just lose my mind if the only thing I ever thought about was all the potentially terrible things happening in the world. But I try to focus on, as you know, philosophy, things like that. Focus on a positive message, because if you loom on the negative stuff, which is important, we have to point it out. We have to tell people the wrongs for them to even see why there's something to be concerned about in the first place. So of course it's important to point this stuff out, but at some point, if you're always focused on the negative stuff, it does kind of drain on the soul.
It does, and it damages the relationships of the clients that you work with, the people that are closest to you, your family, your friends, because I'm stating that as a fact. Would you agree with that statement, Mark?
I mean, yeah, it can. Obviously, anytime you put your time into something, it's going to take away from other things. There's events I don't go to. There's parties I don't go to because I'd rather stay home sometimes and focus on my own projects. So, sure. It's kind of a fine line, because in some ways you don't want to be so consumed by it that you become insulated and you don't do anything else in the world. And but at the same time, this is important stuff we're talking about. There's a reason we all got into what we do in the first place. It's because we see a lot of things that are going on in the world that aren't quite right. So I think it's important to have a balance at all times, and it's not always easy to find it. Sometimes the scale tips one way or another, but it's kind of a balancing act to kind of maintain your sanity while covering the completely insane world we live in.
Yeah, and let's kind of, I want to jump into Syria. Let's go there first, because this is kind of a big deal.
Hey, everyone else is going there. Why not?
Yeah, well, no boots on the ground, though. Let me be clear.
Even though the Pentagon has already said
no boots on the ground.
They did say that, but they also said bombing won't be enough, and I believe, I don't have the story in front of me, I'm not prepared at all as usual, but I believe they said something to the effect of, we'll need some friendly people on the ground sometime in the future, whatever that means. I don't know who these friendly people are, but if
you like your friendly people on the ground, you can keep your friendly people on the ground.
Defeat any kind of group or organization, or it's also convoluted because there's ISIS, there's all sorts of other groups, there's rebels we like, there's rebels we don't like, but you can't really win a war with bombs alone, if that's what this is. I know they're not calling it a war, of course, but you know, when I see bombs, I say war. You can't really win a war just by bombing things, you know, unless we're talking Dresden style, and you're going to destroy a whole city, including every human being within that city. So to say we're going to fight ISIS
Nagasaki, I
boots
guess,
on the ground is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They've been saying about Iran. Oh, nuke, 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 nuke Iran. Like, remember when who was that? John McCain.
John McCain's old little ditty there.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that just see this nonstop war. How many decades, how many centuries are we on where this is nonstop war? And you will hear people say, "Turn it into a glass parking lot, all of it. Just end it all. Just stop all of this stuff." Because it's spilling into our backyards.
My Facebook feed, those people.
Yeah, I
can't take that kind of stuff personally.
And that's what the U.S. did to Hiroshima and Nagasaki back in World War II. Like, this is we are a people, not you and me. We weren't alive during that, but we are a race of people that have leveled nuclear bombs on cities to end things before. So not to say that's a good idea moving forward. But really, this nonstop warfare in the Middle East has been going on ever since I can remember. There's no end in sight, you know, and a lot of people ask the question, is it because of U.S. intervention? You know, that's kind of the Ron Paul kind of foreign policy strategy, that our meddling, I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids, that it's because of us that it's all on fire. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, coming from your libertarian stance over at Lions of Liberty?
Well, yeah, I mean, U.S. imperialistic meddling, I want to call it. You know, I love Ron Paul. I don't love the term non-intervention that much because, you know, I think if there are real travesties going on, legitimately, I mean, if there are massacres going on, if there's a rape going on next door to your house next door, you have every right to intervene in that act, in that terrible act that you know is going on. It doesn't matter if the owner of that house where it's going on didn't give you permission. So, you know, that's kind of the same thing many libertarians will apply to foreign policy, and in a sense they're correct in the current context, because in the current context we don't have, you know, an all-volunteer army that volunteers for these wild missions all over the world to, you know, fight enemy X or enemy Y or Z or what have you. You know, and our army and our taxes are funded coercively. So in that context, yeah, I don't think we should be, you know, just kind of sending our troops who definitely sign up with the idea of protecting the homeland, of protecting this country. That's what they signed up for. So I don't think they should be, you know, sent around the globe unless they would like to be, unless they volunteer maybe in some other manner to fight just any sort of enemy that might be out there. But the United States certainly, through its foreign policy, over the last 50 years, 60 years, certainly created the conditions that allow, and this depends on how deep down the rabbit hole you want to get conspiracy-wise, because there's certain things that are facts and certain things that are conjecture. A fact is that the U.S. military has been intervening in the Middle East for, you know, the greater part of the last century in many different ways, and those are going to have many, what I believe to be obvious consequences. They might not be obvious to anybody, but essentially it boils down to, when you drop bombs on people's houses, they're not going to be that happy, and their families that lose their whole families aren't going to be that happy, and it is, for right or wrong, going to foment anger towards that country. So, you know, in many ways, the United States, through its foreign policy, has certainly cleared the way for radicals to exist, for these people to rise up. And the thing is, the more we intervene, the more bombs drop, the more recruiting tools these ISIS characters, and they're bad characters. They're like some of the worst around. I don't think anyone's trying to deny that. But the more we kind of intervene, unless you're going to go for a full-scale boots-on-the-ground thing like we were talking about, it's really only going to cause civilian deaths, which it already has, and therefore create more anger, create a new recruiting tool for them, or it's going to I don't know what the second thing I was going to say was. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I was going to say that
it's going to cause some bad.
Let me bail you out, because what I was thinking of there is that, kind of like when Derek Jeter bailed out, like on that relay throw, and he kind of pitched it home sideways to get Jason Giambi.
Jeter reference.
Yeah, well, you know, Jeter just in timeliness, he had an amazing career. I've never been a fan because I don't like the Yankees. I'm a Cleveland Indians fan, but he had that assist in a very pivotal playoff game against the A's back in the day. So
one
I
of the
wanted.
best plays ever.
Yeah, and Jeter, of course, yesterday won the game on a walk-off hit in his final game.
I had
at
no
Yankee
doubt
Stadium.
that's how that game was going to end.
It's amazing. And that was a game they said was completely, like, it was already rained out before they even started. It was like, oh, this game is getting rained out. So anyway, no, but to jump in there, I was going to say that one of the things, while the United States can't win a war without boots on the ground and actually go in and get this thing done, and it's a lot of people are just saying, for the love of God, whatever needed done to, like, get murderers under control so that some sort of sanity could take shape so we can get the hell out of there. If we're going
to get murderers under control, maybe we should start here at home.
Well, let's get to that for a second, but I'm getting backed up on thoughts here. Talk about the murderers at home in a second, please, and I want to hear that. It's just, we don't want to go back to this place. Whatever it is we need to do to actually leave and just calm things down and find some normalcy, I think that's what most of the people want. Whatever solution that is, whether that's boots on the ground or straight up withdrawal or some sort of combination. While we can't win with boots on the ground, we saw England, just vote for military authorization to bomb in Iraq only. The president out there touting all those Muslim nations that were helping us at least a little bit. And I think the game plan is to get more of the world to say, guys, we all got to kind of calm down. There's a riot breaking out here. We just need to calm this down. Can you guys all come in and help? So in that respect, I just want this over. But you were talking about the bad guys at home. I mean, there's a lot of war hawks that love sending people to war as long as it's not them. And those people tend to be the people in Congress, in the House and the Senate. And the same agenda kind of keeps marching forward regardless of who's in office. The side-by-side of Obama and Bush is astonishing to me.
Yeah, well, there was actually, I don't know if you saw this video. Is that what you were referencing, the video of their speeches?
I think that was Megyn Kelly, right?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah,
it was kind of a side-by-side of their speeches about intervening, I guess, in Iraq and the striking similarities between them.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's one speechwriter that has written the case for every war in the last 50 years. I mean, it's a script that they've nailed down pretty much.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm wondering if this is Georgia. I'm trying to find the actual video here to see if we could play it, because it really is astonishing to listen to them in their own words go back to back. I don't have it in front of me. I'll keep taking a look at it, but I mean. So what do you see as the main problem? Is it the Hillary Clinton? Because think about it. Hillary Clinton is in line to be potentially the next president. John Kerry was the alternate plan to be president with Bush. John McCain was the alternate version to be the Obama. It's like the same cast of characters running our foreign policy, playing the role of president, and the policy really does not change at all. So how do you place the blame of this constant bloodlust that we've had to just keep fighting different places? Is it a reaction to bad stuff popping up out of the middle of nowhere, or how involved are we, and who are the ones responsible for it?
Well, when you really break things down and you really want to strike at the root of a problem, you got to really, you got to get to the beginning. And where does this all start? Well, I don't think the government is an accurate representation necessarily of the will of the population, so to speak, in the sense of how democracy is sold. But ultimately, the government does operate at the at least the passive sort of approval of the population at large. So what's the root of the problem? The root of the problem is that the population at large thinks it's okay for governments to be going around and bombing other countries, to running a sort of mercantilist economy. I mean, there's people that say it's a conspiracy, that it's about oil and resources, but let's be honest, there's a reason that the United States government is primarily intervening in places where there are heavy amounts of natural resources. And the fact that I know something, like you just said earlier, the people that say turn that place into a glass parking lot or whatever, there's the same kind of people that think it's perfectly fine to if they even buy the premise, they think it's perfectly fine to invade a country for oil. I mean, I've heard people say this. And then at the same time, you have probably very many well-meaning people who are simply duped by the propaganda. they're duped by, they see the beheading videos, and right away they say, well, we got to do something. And when the government's going to do something, you can bet it's going to involve guns and bombs and that kind of thing.
Okay, well, let's go back a little bit. Let's try to understand our history with Syria, because what got us into this right now? It was a couple of beheading videos, and before that, they were trying to get us in for chemical weapons. Assad is using chemical weapons, and
well, the United States actually literally used chemical weapons in Iraq using phosphorus in Fallujah. So it's funny how the sort of the logic comes down. The things that the government is enraged by, that when often they do very similar things.
We must engage in this war on terror. Our safety is number one.
Is that your Obama impression? That you told me you've been working on it.
I didn't say it was good. Now, our southern border, don't worry about that. That will be safe. And everything you do at the TSA, taking off your shoes, and all of our wiretapping from the NSA is good for you to keep you safe.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
That's their, and I've done better. I need some my herbal tea.
Yeah, you haven't had your whiskey or whatever yet.
Who said that? No, you've had libertarians in living rooms drinking whiskey. Is that the name?
Yes, my favorite. Well, it's the official acronym. It's a feature on our podcast, the Lions of Liberty podcast, which you can of course find at lionsofliberty.com/podcast, or on iTunes, or on Stitcher Radio. Just had to get my cheap plugs in. But that's one of our regular or semi-regular. We're going to make it a regular feature. Libertarians in living rooms drinking liquor. And I don't know if you necessarily label yourself libertarian, but we might have to have you on sometime, because I know you can throw back a few. So, but it's fun though. The last two episodes we did, I kind of had my fellow Lions of Liberty on, a couple contributors that you've spoken with, Brian McWilliams, John Odermatt, and a couple of my other good friends that kind of got me into the Liberty thing in the first place. We all kind of got together for a couple hours, had some drinks, and just kind of reflected upon days of old and how we first came into our political beliefs, how the Lions of Liberty website was founded, and all that stuff. And then we got into it about our opinions on Rand Paul a little bit. So if you haven't heard of us, if you've never been to lionsofliberty.com and you're kind of interested in what the hell I'm talking about and want to learn more, those would be a good place to start, because we kind of go through from the very beginning and bring it up to the modern times of how we got here, sort of. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about with Syria, is they've been trying to do this for a long time. That's been the game plan for a long time. You wonder.
Oh, there's that Wesley Clark video. Have you seen that, where he was asked a question at some kind of press conference or something or other many years ago, and I don't even know what the question was, but he went and kind of said that, well, yeah, after 9/11, he was in a room and they kind of laid out the 7-country war plan. They said there were 7 countries that they wanted to go into and take out the leadership and replace them with new leadership. And the countries were, I believe, Iraq, check, Afghanistan, check.
Let's do this. Let's do this. I think you queued it up. Let me see if I have the right one that you're talking about.
After 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
Yeah, Mark.
That's the one.
Truth is about the Middle East is, had there been no oil there, it would be like Africa. Nobody is threatening to intervene in Africa. The problem is the opposite. We keep asking for people to intervene and stop it. And there's no question that the presence of petroleum throughout the region has sparked great power involvement. Whether that was the specific motivation for the coup or not, I can't tell you, but there was definitely, there's always been this attitude that somehow we could intervene and use force in the region.
That is insane. General Wesley Clark.
Yeah, and Afghanistan wasn't even one of the 7. It was just like, I guess, a bonus invasion.
Isn't that something?
By 7, get one invasion free.
Yeah, so there's a guy named Osama bin Laden who used to be a CIA asset, right? And
yeah, something like that.
He's hanging out in Afghanistan.
He was at a minimum funded by the CIA for a time. You know, whether he was an asset, an active asset, is debated back and forth.
At a minimum funded by the CIA at one time. Okay, and I'm all in the interest of saying this fairly. I don't want to be any more bombastic or jump to any more conclusions than are necessary, because most of this information is so beyond belief, so incredible, so unbelievable, really. There's no need to embellish any of it. So.
Yeah, they lay out enough facts on their own that, there are certain conspiracy theories out there, many that are potentially credible, but they give us enough that we know that there's really no need to get into the stuff we don't know too much.
Yeah, and it's really intense. It's really intense. So this guy in Afghanistan put together a plot to send people over from Saudi Arabia. Okay, so we got Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan, and there's the trade towers. We just had our 9/11 anniversary, and out of the 7 countries we decided to attack, they're not Saudi Arabia, and it's not Afghanistan, even in that 7 list in 5 years, which is kind of incredible. So, being so close to the, like 2 weeks ago we had the 9/11 remembrance. It's not really an anniversary. You usually celebrate anniversaries. What are your thoughts on 9/11 in 2014, Mark?
Oh boy, we just took a sharp turn, didn't we?
Like the planes on the video that we were watching. It would be a very sharp turn to hit at that angle that it did at the Pentagon. People still claim it was a missile. People still wonder, where's the footage from around there, the security camera footage? Where's any of that stuff?
I believe in the Occam's razor thing. In theory, the most obvious conclusion is the most likely one. I know that's not exactly how it's worded, but God, at the same time, it's almost like they want conspiracy theories out there because they withhold so much information and withhold so much from the public that you have to at least consider that there's something else going on there. Especially, and I don't about this 28 pages that were redacted from the 9/11 report, and there's this whole movement to Thomas Massie is leading this movement in Congress to declassify them. Ron Paul's been a big advocate about this too, and he said he's seen the 28 pages. People in Congress have access to it. They just can't reveal what is said in them. But he has basically said that it changed his entire perspective of the Middle East and of foreign policy in the last 10 years. Now, if this is a congressman saying that, and we've gone to all these countries over the last 10 years, and we're going in now even, maybe it's time to take a look at those and see what all the fuss is about, to the point that they would have to redact all this 28 pages of information from the investigation about the biggest terror attack in the history of the world. And well, I shouldn't say that because some people might not call it that, but in my opinion, Hiroshima and Nagasaki are the 2 biggest terror attacks in the history of the world. But that's another rabbit hole we can go down.
Well, and people talk about Pearl Harbor, being a setup. People talk about the Gulf of Tonkin being a setup. The Reichstag fires in Germany were false flag setups.
Sure, and it's
attacks,
like
terrorist attacks
stuff,
against your own government.
Whether it's the official story is true or not, either way, we know what they used it for. So even if 9/11 is exactly as it's laid out by the powers that be, as General Clark laid out, they're still using that as an excuse to enact this other agenda that is completely unrelated, that was already in place. So, and I guess the good thing that comes out of that Wesley Clark thing is that it was 7 countries in 5 years. Well, well, they're way behind. You know, they're not actually being completely successful with this plan.
That's a good point.
I don't know if that's due to the American public being a little more aware of these things, or what.
Yeah, what was that? I saw Zbigniew Brzezinski said something about that. Do you remember? It was maybe about a year ago. He said that we can't go to war as easily as we used to because of alternative media.
He said it's becoming more difficult to do what they want. Essentially, I don't remember the exact quote either, but yeah, basically that the spread of information and the ease with which people can communicate, is basically referring to the internet, is really giving them some difficulty in just kind of putting out a company line on their 3 TV stations that everyone's watching, or your 3 radio networks that everyone's listening to, putting that out, everyone hears it and says that's the news and buys it and goes along with it. Well, those days are over. They're not totally over, because I think our generation is more open to new media than maybe older generations. So, you know, there's probably still a large segment of the population, probably still the majority, that gets their news from mainstream sources, but that is changing rapidly, and I think it's clear. You know, this is the first time they tried to go into Syria. They couldn't do it. I mean, Obama even said, right, the red line has been crossed. They used chemical weapons. That's it. We're going, and they didn't until now, until a year later, when they found another reason, when they found some fancy doctored beheading videos to push upon us and claim another reason to go in.
Yeah. And it's very interesting to think about. I mean, what sucked us into this war? There were a couple of beheadings, and the president was taunted. That's really what we're talking about. So
yeah, I mean, do we have to bomb Oklahoma City now too? I mean, is it just, do we bomb anywhere a beheading is? I mean, how does that really address the root of the issue? I don't see how bombs can solve that kind of thing. Can solve the kind of mindset that would lead someone to behead someone. If that's, I mean, you know, if that's how everything went down.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I wonder if I actually have this pulled up here. Let me see if I have this.
The lethality of their power is greater than ever. Their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world.
This is okay. It looks like I do have.
And he is just
here.
the scariest sounding guy. Right? He just sounds like an evil, like the Emperor from Star Wars or something.
That's exactly where I was going with that. That's exactly what I was going for. Maybe something out of Mordor.
I mean, it would be funnier if it wasn't about such serious stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, it's Zbigniew Brzezinski.
Another novel reality.
Oh, okay. I guess it starts at the beginning here. Let me play this, because to understand this kind of mentality, let's hear a minute here in his own words, Brzezinski.
That for the first time in human history, for the first time in all of human history, almost all of mankind is politically awake. And these new and old major powers face still yet another novel reality, in some respects unprecedented. And it is that while the lethality of their power is greater than ever, their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. I once put it rather pungently, and I was flattered that the British Foreign Secretary repeated this, as follows. Namely, in earlier times, it was easier to control 1 million people, literally. It was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. It is easier to kill than to control.
Wow. Yeah. So let's not.
Okay.
Yeah, kiddos. Let's not kid ourselves and think that things aren't as. You think people wouldn't flip a switch?
They put enough out there that we don't need to even make stuff up. Yeah,
we don't need to make it up. That is literally a Star Wars villain. Okay, and to think that it would be beyond the scope of possibility for these people to shut the power off and let cities devour themselves and kill millions. Maybe it's time to shake off the cobwebs just a little bit. Condense some of your belongings, get your spiritual and financial houses in order, kind of maybe just prepare get in a little better shape, build a network of your neighbors, kind of just get an extra bottle or two of water if you can, and maybe hunker down for something here. not that Brzezinski is a new cat on the scene and this is a brand new thing happening, but you see that there's a new phase that has just been enacted. Things have ratcheted up, and there's a new chapter. United States v. Syria has now begun in September of 2014. This is the beginning of what can be a very dark chapter as Ebola spreads throughout northern Africa, now starting to bounce around the world, and the Georgia Guidestones get a 2014 marker update out of nowhere. Where did that come from? And that says you need to keep the world population under, what is it, 500 million or something like that instead of 7 billion? Something around those lines, Mark?
I believe so, yeah. I don't. You know more about this than I do, but I am familiar with what they say, what they say about it anyway.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. So we find ourselves in this spot. Do you find yourself becoming a bit more of a prepper, Mark?
Oh yeah, I've been kind of having that mentality for a while. Not in the extreme sense. I don't have like a bunker or anything, but we keep a steady supply of water, steady supply of the food. I mean, very basic stuff that that really it makes sense for anyone to do, because it really wouldn't take that much. Just even we saw that power. I mean, just doesn't need to be a world changing event like a huge earthquake or what's that thing in Yellowstone that's supposed to explode?
The super volcano.
Yeah, the super volcano. It doesn't necessarily take a super volcano to need to be prepared for at least something, because we had that power outage on the East Coast about a decade ago. I mean, you can easily be cut off from your normal, your trip to the store or whatever. It's really something that is a very realistic possibility. So it certainly makes sense, regardless of the political situation, to at least have a minimum level of kind of preparation. I'm glad you mentioned even staying in shape there, because guess what? When the S hits the F, I guess I can say fan. Unless I'm talking about another F. When the S hits the fan,
I like to say when the ship hits the sand.
Yeah, the guy that can't run 20 feet without huffing and puffing, I don't think he's going to last that long.
Yeah, what is it? If I'm
and I hate running. Don't get me wrong.
What is that? I've seen a meme where it's something. Or a T-shirt where it's like, if I'm ever being chased by a lion, I don't have to be faster than the lion. I just have to be faster than you.
Exactly.
When
the zombie apocalypse comes, I don't think I can run.
All right.
I don't know if we're gonna have the fast zombies like Dawn of the Dead or the slow zombies. It really all depends. But I'm confident I can outrun a lot of the people that will at least have their brains eaten first.
Well, Mark, it's very interesting that you should talk about that. It's very interesting that you would bring that up. Because there are stories now about, let's see, 2 Ebola patients who died of the virus in separate communities in Nimba County have reportedly resurrected in the county. The victims, both females believed to be in their 60s and 40s respectively, died of the Ebola virus recently in Hope Village community in the Catholic community in Ganta, Nimba. But to the amazement of residents and onlookers on Monday, the deceased reportedly regained life in total disbelief. The New Dawn Nimba County correspondent said that the late Doris Quoy of Hope Village community and the second victim, only identified as Ma Keba, said to be in her 60s, were about to be taken for burial when they resurrected. Ma Keba had been indoor for 2 nights without food and medication before her alleged death. Bizarre case of Ebola. With a native doctor from the county who claimed that he could cure infected victims, then died of the virus himself last week. So, news of the resurrection of the 2 victims has reportedly created panic in residents of Hope Village community and Ganta at large, with some citizens describing Doris as a ghost who shouldn't live among them. So we have dead victims resurrecting, Mark, with Ebola as the Georgia Guidestones saying, hey, we don't need 7 billion people. Let's only have 500,000 or something like that. 500 million, 500,000.
I got my running shoes on. How fast is Ebola?
Buddy, you're by LAX. You can't run, you can't hide. And you were talking about being ready. I mean, there are hurricanes on the eastern seaboard. There was one that flirted with Southern California and northern Mexico for a while. We're living on fault lines. There's any number of reasons, seriously, zombies being the last of them. But honestly, if there's a run on stuff at the stores, or the traffic is disrupted, or there's an electromagnetic pulse or something, or there's a big cyber hacking attack and nobody's computers work for a full week and nobody can sell or buy and it's just panic. Yeah, it's a good idea to have a few things so you can get through a couple weeks of hard times. That's a good idea no matter whether zombies are coming after you or not, Mark.
Sure, absolutely. And just to kind of have a mentality about what to do when stuff goes wrong, whether it's a home break-in or just, you know, the second you lose power, or the second that stores are shut down for whatever reason. Maybe there's riots and you got to shut yourself in. You just have at least a general sense. So anytime you can avoid panicking in life is good. So whatever you need to prepare for. I mean, I was on the wrestling team in high school, and you had to get in good shape, and you had to prepare for all sorts of situations, because when you start breathing heavy, you panic, and when you panic, you lose it, and you lose your mind, and you can't think straight. So it's important to not panic, and the best way to do that is to have a game plan in place and to be confident in it. And you know, I'm not saying I have that all down at all, but you know, it's at least something to think about.
No, but that is the point. We don't have to have it all figured out. Just today, let's be a little better than we were yesterday.
All right. Some people will say, "Well, it's just too big a task. I can't do this and that." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not gonna like build a bunker in a day or maybe even ever, but you can make some small steps to at least, you can go get an extra bottle of water at the store. You know, you can do stuff like that. I always keep a few extra jugs of water just in the back. I mean, that's just something very minor, but guess what? The first thing you need when the S hits the F is water. Like, you die without water. It's really very clear. Like, there's no scientific debate about whether or not that's true. So, I mean, if you're going to start at the beginning, just get some extra water, and then have a plan. Maybe have some purification tablets, like another good thing to have around. Think about that, because you can go a couple weeks without eating. You'll have bellyache. You'll be a little cranky, but you can live without eating. You cannot live without water.
Yeah, and that's something that we need to be thinking about. Well, if there's a dirty bomb that goes off and you can't get out of your house for a week, hey, you know, have some stuff. Think this through. Like, you're in charge of you. Nobody's in charge of you but you. That's a very libertarian way to think of things. But when everybody's in charge of themselves, they're less desperate together, and then that community is a stronger community because of it.
Sure, and I think people have developed the mentality over time that, you know, no matter what terrible thing happens, the government's going to come in and just make it all right and take care of things. And sometimes they will, because they have a lot of resources that they confiscate from the rest of us. And sometimes those resources are used for good things, you know. Sometimes they do feed people that are hungry. I mean, I don't want to decry everything the government's ever done, even if I disagree with the way that it's done and the method for which they procure those funds. But you know, you can't rely on really anyone else. In reality, you only can rely on yourself, but you can also rely on a trusted group of others. But from the state of things now, it doesn't appear that our government is necessarily that trusted group.
Yeah, it's well, you kind of always want to not have to trust. You know, when you're in charge of your own thing, look, it's like anything else. If you need to pack, if you're going somewhere for a couple of days and you got to pack a bag, you know, the number one way to make sure that you have everything you need is to make sure you do the task yourself. If you're out of the house and you got to call and ask your friend or your, you know, a loved one or a family member, hey, you know, I need you to put me together a backpack and put this, and you're trying to remember everything and you're making sure they don't forget. That's the only way that you're in charge of stuff. That's the libertarian way. Pack your own way. Make sure that you've got your own stuff under control. And then, I mean, those really are stronger communities because they're less likely to be desperate, because desperate people will do desperate things. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to think about this, because it's one thing to say it's our foreign policy that's causing all the problems, let's just change our foreign policy. It's another thing to say, oh, let's just make it a parking lot. It's another thing to say, oh, okay, well, let's just bomb the hell out of them and get out again, or whatever the game plan is. Let's focus on the fact that a woman was just beheaded in her Oklahoma workplace. This is Oklahoma, Mark. This is just the reality that these groups, whoever they are, wherever they came from, whatever the cause was for it, they're calling for lone wolf attacks all over the world. And we're starting to see it happen. It's a call to crazy nut jobs. What do you make of this thing? This story here, a man who was fired from an Oklahoma food processing plant beheaded a woman with a knife and was attacking another worker when he was shot and wounded by a company official. By the way, that's exactly why everybody should conceal carry. Take responsibility for things. You never know if you're going to be at a mall or a movie or a freaking food processing plant and you find a nut job and you've got to kill to save lives, possibly your own and your own family. I mean, what do you make of this, Mark? Because however we got here, this is happening. This just happened.
I think that if I was working that day, I could have outrun those two. No, just kidding. This isn't a joking matter, but you know, I got to find a way to lighten this stuff up somehow. Yeah. It's
no.
crazy.
But you're absolutely right. I'll go back to it. It is. No, the subject matter is not funny, but the thought of back to the funny thing, I don't need to outrun a lion, I just have to outrun you. It is survival of the fittest. You know, if a neighborhood's going bonkers and crime's spiking through the roof and there's no electricity or running water and people are getting broken into, you know what? It might be good to be fast, to get out of there real quick with a bug-out bag, have a location in mind, have a game plan where you can just hunker down and ride out some weirdness for a while. And that is fast. And it's funny, there is humor in the concept of not needing to get 100 on the score, just don't fail it. You know, because that's all we're saying is don't fail the test. You don't.
Yeah, and the guy that shot him didn't fail. He was prepared. So he saw the crazy guy and took him out. Very simple. I mean, it's not simple. It's weird, and crazy,
but that, you know, you see this stuff at Columbine or at Sandy Hook, and anytime there's a mass shooting, my first thought is, God, was there somebody there that could have stopped that? Was there anyone around like, that's essentially what militia is. That's not a dirty word. It's just like whoever's closest, you know, and an adult, like, can you just please step in until the cavalry can show up, you know? And I mean, there's a war that's coming here. It is here. The Ebola is in our facilities in Atlanta, somewhere else in the country. I forget where the other lab is. Our southern border has been wide open and tens of thousands of people have been flooding in here. You have recent Muslim converts trying to get other people to join the religion, and now they're beheading people in the country. And the Dow's just sitting there at an all-time high, and you're going, oh, man, are they going to pull
Well, that means everything's fine then, right?
It means...
As long as the Dow is up, there's no worries in the world. That's what I've learned from mainstream media, so I don't know what you're on about.
So funny, because I look at a stack of Jenga, and you go, all right, are you going to pull that last piece there? Are you going to pull the bottom out of this economy and just let it all go to hell? And it's just a free-for-all, to use a WWF or WWE reference, like a Royal Rumble.
I'm surprised you're the first one to make a WWE reference here. That's pretty pretty big revelation.
Well, I mean, you did reference the Hulk, so I mean that was like a pseudo reference, but
that's true.
But I mean, this stuff is here. Is this just one nutball, Mark, or do you think that this is something we should actually be concerned about?
I mean, what do you mean? I mean, like, do I think we need to stomp out the Islamic religion to make sure no one beheads anyone? I mean, I don't think so, but I think, I don't want to go on too much of a rant on this, but I think a lot of religion in general, not every religious person or anything like that, a lot of religious extremism, whether it's Islamic, I mean, we can focus on beheadings and claim that is the extremism of Islam, and maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, the people that are doing it are obviously deranged, and if Islam is somehow part of what's deranging them, sure, look at it. You know, it's something to talk about. At the same time, there's a lot of people who are very Christian and you know, influenced by that religion, and for those reasons, they support all sorts of bombings in the Middle East because they think that, you know, whatever they think. Yeah, and again, I don't want to get too much on a rant of this, but my point being, when you abandon reason and logic and you follow maybe just a book, or maybe not even that book, because I think the books themselves aren't really. Well, there's a lot of violence in the Bible, but you know, it's really more a radical, violent interpretation of what's in those books when people are just following those leaders. And some of those leaders might have, a turban on and might chop someone's head off on video. Some of those other leaders might wear a suit and be in Congress and just order bombs and drones to drop instead. You know. So there's all sorts of reasons that people are thinking irrationally and abandoning reason in their decisions. Clearly, chopping someone else's head off is abandoning reason and not really thinking through things clearly, no matter, you know, what the reasons are for doing it.
Okay. Wow, that was a windy road you just took us on there.
That's how I roll, man. If I don't have a script, which I don't, I'm all over it. It's going wherever it's going.
All right, let me narrow the focus of where I was going with that to see if I can narrow the answer. Not to eradicate the entire Muslim religion. Let's not go to that.
Sure. And I obviously know that's not what.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hear it and you think about it.
But there are people that do say that. I see them say it. So. I mean, I think we need to abandon crazy thinking, period.
There are people that want a caliphate, a global Sharia law to kill all Christians. So just turn it around. That is exactly happening from that radical side right now.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it's there. Yeah, well, maybe not the most awesome. No, so to narrow the question a little bit more.
Just to be clear, I'm anti-beheading from regardless of the reason.
What if Inigo Montoya?
Depending on what she said. No,
what if Inigo Montoya? Oh, don't make a Ray Rice joke. That was a.
Hey, you went there. Right?
Now you went Ray Rice.
I steer clear from that stuff. Right?
It's unreal. Have you been following the Ray Rice thing and Roger Goodell and?
Yeah, I have vested interest though, so I'll remain silent on these issues for now.
Oh.
We'll talk off air.
We will talk off air. But I will vouch on that one. Okay, I get that. Let's shift gears a little bit. Okay, tell me about the past.
While I clam up and caress my paycheck.
Cold sweat. Caress my
currently
paycheck.
huddled in the corner.
That's funny. Okay, but why don't you tell me a little bit about what you've been doing? Because I know we're going to be wrapping this up at some point here, and I don't know, before we do, because I was going to ask about some of the recent guests you've had on your Lions of Liberty podcast, because you guys have, you tell us how many episodes, pull up the list, go through some of the highlights, because I know that's a relatively new endeavor. What are you on, like a year and a half now of that, something?
We just passed episode 53, so I didn't start off quite weekly. I was kind of weekly-ish, so it's not exactly a year, but it's been about a year.
Okay, yeah, because it's a good archive of content. Sometimes when you're listening, if you watch the Daily Show or Conan, and there's a lot of current events in the news, if you're a week late, you're like, I don't know.
Exactly. You're like, well, this is already gone.
Yeah, I don't care about this joke, and I don't even want to listen to this stuff. It's neat when it's partially new to, I didn't think of it that way, and you're still hashing it out. But a lot of yours, Mark, a lot of your podcasts, they kind of cover timeless concepts.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. I would say that's accurate.
Yeah. So I definitely want you to get into that and explain that, and go through what people can go check out and stay connected with you on. But I was just wondering, did you have any other stories on your radar? Because I know something that interested us, and seriously, if there's anything other story we haven't got to, I want you to toss it out there. But I was curious about your thoughts on what's her name, Charlotte Green in Alaska, the reporter that quit on air.
Oh yeah, I want to get. Speaking of my podcast, I want to get her on the show. I remember. Thanks for reminding me. I'm gonna look into that as soon as I hang up with you.
Well,
yeah, she just basically said, this time I should use the F.
Okay.
She said, fan this, I quit. She said, F this, I quit live on the air. Basically, she's quitting her news anchor job to just run a cannabis collective in Alaska. So. And basically just decried the whole media on the way out.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
not the classiest way necessarily to do it, but hey, whatever. I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, I'm not saying that's the way anyone should quit a job or burn a bridge. I wouldn't necessarily support that as a method, but.
Well, let's just play it really quick, because I guess what I wanted to get to is maybe the issue of legalization. I know California has now officially embarked on the 2-year plan to not just legalize medicinally, but to decriminalize completely. So they're going for 2016 to make sure that this happens in 2 years from now. So it's an issue that's going throughout the country with Washington, with Colorado. You're seeing it. It's like this stuff didn't used to be illegal. How could this possibly be any worse than alcohol, which is so ingrained in our culture that you can't even really imagine America without Budweiser. You just really can't without Jack Daniels. It's such a part of everything. So it is an issue that's important. But yeah, if you're one of the 5 people that didn't catch this, Alaska news reporter Charlotte Green, just here it is one more time.
What you heard is why I, the actual owner of the Alaska Cannabis Club, will be dedicating all of my energy toward fighting for freedom and fairness, which begins with legalizing marijuana here in Alaska. And as for this job, well, Not that I have a choice, but fuck it. I quit.
Wait, so can I actually say that on the show? Because she had to say it.
Sorry for that. And she,
We'll be right
I thought
back.
you knew.
Meanwhile, the vote yes on 2 campaign held upon the
I'm sorry, that other reporter. Now back to you, Katie. I'm sorry about that. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy.
One of my favorite things in life is is flummoxed newscasters that when something just goes not according to plan. Someone should make a compilation reel and put it on YouTube. I'm sure they already have.
One of my favorite things in life is when I get to hear the word flummoxed in a casual conversation.
There you go. That's why I'm here.
Hey, we're on the same page. But, I mean, that is another libertarian issue, Mark. It's something that you cover on lionsofliberty.com, and I encourage people to go check out. But it really is it's a personal choice issue. Yeah, I mean, how could smoking a plant be any worse than killing a living baby inside you? You know, that's a personal choice that Roe versus Wade says, okay, you can have an abortion, but you cannot smoke pot. Yes. It's hard to fathom. It's like, but here you can have all of these pharmaceutical grade things that are going to really, really, really F you up with huge side effects. You can do that.
Ben Swan has really done a lot of great reporting on as well. He did a whole report on how the United States government says cannabis. We don't have any evidence that cannabis can be used as medicine. Meanwhile, they hold a patent for using cannabis as medicine. So, which one is it exactly? Why hold a patent for something that you say is not even a thing? And why does the U.S. government hold patents on this stuff anyway? I mean, I can go on a whole patent rant too, but
Bill O'Reilly's new book is Killing Patent.
Yeah,
oh wait, you meant
anybody
patent.
Should be allowed to put. That's a good one. Should be allowed to put any substance in their body they so choose, so long as they're not forcing someone else to do it. That's my libertarian viewpoint. But even if you buy the argument that the government should be protecting some people from themselves or what have you, even using that internal logic, the having cannabis illegal makes no sense whatsoever. Even if you buy the initial premise, which of course I do not. But I mean, like you said, alcohol is far more dangerous. We know for a fact that hundreds of thousands of people die from liver disease, from drunk driving incidents every single year. People die from tobacco every single year. Nobody dies from marijuana. Literally, absolutely nobody. I mean, there's not one overdose in history. If you can find it, let me know. No, you can't. Maybe you can, but I don't think a human can physically consume the amount of cannabis that it would require to overdose. So tell me why that's illegal, although that's changing, and why booze, which I can overdose on alcohol tonight if I want. It's not hard. I know how to do it. I just go buy a couple bottles of vodka and I chug until I die. I mean, I know that can happen, but I could not kill myself using weed if I wanted to.
Should a person be allowed to ingest Ebola if they want to?
Sure, why not?
Because they could infect others.
But they shouldn't be allowed to ingest it and bring it to anybody else.
Well, it's not that we have a problem with alcohol.
If you really ingest Ebola, is there like an Ebola drink, a shake I can buy, or?
Tasty.
Ebola bites or
Ebola cola.
More things that aren't that funny, but just we gotta have some fun, or else
Mark,
everything's gonna be depressing.
It would be Ebola cola.
Oh, E. cola.
All right. Well, that's almost infringing on E. coli, which is different than
we don't want to have a copyright claim put up upon us, a trademark claim put upon us by the founders of E. coli.
Yeah, the founders of Don't worry, the government just heard that. Thank you, NSA,
yes.
And I'm sure that they developed their patent on it just now. Hey, fast track that thing, like in Wag the Dog. Let's put that old record sounding thing in the archive. See?
You see?
So anyway, tell us a little bit about the podcast as it's developed and kind of what you're hoping to get out of this, like the format, the style. What do you hope to achieve when you interview these people? I'm seeing some of these names: Adam Dick, Adam Kokesh. They're all named Adam.
Yeah, I only interview Adam. That's my first rule I decided on.
No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot of people on here, and Cop Block.
Hey, there's this Brian Engelman guy too. I see it. I'm looking down my archive too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm on there a couple times.
That's right.
We do have a lot of Brians. We had Brian Engelman. We had Brian Doherty. Well, that's 2 Brians. Maybe we only had 2. Anyway. Well, basically, the website or To take it back, I'll try to give the Cliff Notes version, but about 3 years ago or so, me and a few fellow friends of mine who all went to Penn State, we were all kind of in this conversation. You know, we all got kind of fired up by the Ron Paul campaigns. We were having a lot of conversations about the issues of the day, liberty stuff, and that kind of thing. And eventually, we made this website, Lions of Liberty. We just threw up a blog one day because we were having all these conversations anyway. So we figured we may as well toss it up on the internet, and you know, maybe someone else will read it, and maybe someone else will want to get involved in the conversation or what have you. But since then, we had our good friend Tommy John from TommyJohnStudios.com, who designed us a kick-ass website, which we can find now at lionsofliberty.com. Anyway, fast forwarding to about a year ago, I had kind of, you know, as I mentioned, I think at the beginning of the show, first time my voice has ever broadcast on the internet was on this very show about 3 years ago, around the time we were creating this website. And since then, I've had, and it's kind of been one of those things where it's in the back of your mind, I'll start a podcast someday. Someday I'll do it. Not today. But, you know, I was always kind of dreaming up how I would do it in a way. So eventually, I had just posted something about intellectual property, and I had emailed Stephen Kinsella. He's a kind of an libertarian intellectual property expert. I just emailed him a simple question just to get his opinion. I wasn't even thinking about a podcast at that point. I mean, other than just, you know, the general way I had been thinking about it. And he said, I know this would really be easier to talk about. Just if you want to call me on Skype or something. I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, we could even record it for like a podcast or something. I was like, okay. And I was like, oh, I guess that means I'm starting my podcast now. So my first episode's kind of rough. He's a great guest, but you know, I didn't really have my hosting style down. I didn't really have a plan. I had some like rough notes and just called him and recorded it and stuck it up on the air. But since then, I think I've had some awesome guests. It's funny you asked me this today because I was just going through a lot of my old shows because I'm putting together a little, not really so much a best of, more like a retrospective. You know, the sitcoms where, you know, the writing team just hits a wall, so they do a clip show 1 week. I got a clip show coming up. It's not because I hit the wall. It's just because, you know, after a year, I know we have a lot more new listeners than we did when we first started. You know, it started off kind of slow. Nobody knew about it, but got a pretty good, solid listener base now, and new people every week. And I always see the most encouraging thing is I always see a lot of new clicks on the older show. So I know I can see that the people are finding the show and then going back and listening to new ones. So that's pretty cool to see. And I basically putting together a little clip show. So I've been going back through my past episodes and listening to stuff and listening to some of my past guests. Like I said, Adam Kokesh, Only Adams, Adam Dick too. I've had a lot of guests, and he asked me what I hope to achieve, but really, I mean, it gives me an opportunity to talk to so many people, even if I wasn't recording this thing, which is great that I am, and it's great that people are listening, but it's an opportunity to talk to so many people that when else would I just talk to these people? When else would I spend 45 minutes on the phone with G. Edward Griffin? I mean, I don't know if he would just take the call if I was a random guy. Just giving him, maybe he would. He's a really nice guy. But, it gives me an opportunity to really explore a lot of subjects that I think other people will be interested in. Gives me a chance to kind of probe people on their philosophy, something I try to focus on, and it's really become a fun time. We got to do some fun stuff, like you mentioned, our little libertarians in living room drinking liquor. The last couple episodes, if you check those out, they're a fun time.
Nice, man. Yeah, like the last minute or two, your Skype was getting all garbly.
Highly encourage drinking while listening to the show, I should point out.
Well, yeah, the libertarians in living rooms drinking liquor. I don't know.
LD.
Yeah, you've done that before. No, I was saying that for the past couple minutes here, your Skype was kind of garbling up on me for a second. So it was.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, it's part of it.
I think my Skype was drunk.
Let me do this because I want to get your thoughts. This is just the beauty of doing live radio because I want to reset it. I just want to get your thoughts on this state trooper shooting this unarmed man real quick. Just want to get your thoughts on that, and we'll bounce you out the door. So let me just actually disconnect and reconnect with you so that we can get our connection back. And we're going to call in just a second here with Mark because this South Carolina state trooper shoots unarmed man. Officer has now been fired from his job. That's good, but it's horrible that it did happen. Let's try to get Mark back in to chit-chat about this thing.
And we're back.
Yeah, let's hope that that's a little better. But really, that is the beauty of doing your own show, and you're your own producer, and your own editor, and your own engineer. You just make it work. So you've had a chance now to see this this state trooper, Sean Grubert, shooting this this unarmed
Did
man.
I watched it after you told me about it. I hadn't. Like I said, I've been busy, so a lot of stuff's passing me by. But yeah, yeah, it's awful. The guy, he just asks him. I guess he's reaching into his truck to get his ID, and he gets shot. He starts shooting him. He gets shot once. The disturbing thing is he gets shot once, and even if you had to claim that he was going for a gun, he gets shot and like runs away from his car, backs away from his car, and puts his hands up, and clearly at that point has nothing, and then he gets shot a couple more times. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah.
How you explain something like that other than, I don't know, I can't. I'm not in this state trooper did that. I don't know if there was another circumstance I should know about. I mean, I want to at least open the possibility that there's some context that I don't know that would lead an otherwise rational being to shoot someone like that. But the evidence I have doesn't suggest anything like that. I don't know why this happens so much. I wonder sometimes, is this happening so much more nowadays, or are we just covering it more? Is it that everyone has a camera and that there are dash cams and that we have the internet and everything goes up on YouTube and Facebook? I mean, I don't even know if this has just been going on the whole time. It's only now we're just really becoming aware of it on a large scale.
So, have you determined which one you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he was just flat out murdered. I mean,
well, actually,
I don't see any.
Well, no, I mean, do you think that it's happening more often, or do you think that? Because the guy actually did live. He got hit in the hip. He's going to be alive.
Oh, he did. Oh, okay.
Thank God Almighty.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, I sent it out.
Wow, well, then at least we'll get his side of it, and we'll, it's the point.
It's all caught on camera. Thank God. It's caught on camera. You see it. So, the beauty is, like, it's not a he said versus he said. It's what we wish we would have seen in Ferguson. Show me what happened. Was he attacked, or is it complete BS? Was he shot in the... Where was the dashboard cam? Where was the officer's camera that he has to wear? You and I...
You're making up a little bit.
Yeah, doggone it. This is why I don't use Skype. Let me try one more thing. Yeah, this is... Seriously, I don't know... What causes this? In all honesty, I have no idea why this happens as often as it does. But it's more glitchy using this technology than other ones. Maybe there's a setting or something that I need to tweak. Maybe I just need to reset the system. It's one of those. I guess we'll go one last time trying to get Mark in, if that's been a little difficult to hear him. All apologies on that. That's wonderful technology. Third time is the charm, right?
It's not great now. I just know it. I feel it bounce.
No, I don't know that it is, Mark. I think it's still bad. Nah, I seriously can't hear you. No, and that's the problem with this. Hey, yeah, you know what? Just so I can hear you, because I seriously think the past couple minutes have been a little bit jacked up. I was trying to mute the line and play it back live, and I think it was glitching. So I want to give you a proper send-off here. Can I call you from the studio line back to your cell phone line just to wrap this up? Okay, let me do that. Okay, so let's try that and close out. But once again, you can check out what Mark's up to, lionsofliberty.com. Definitely go and see what's going on. Check out some of these podcasts. I want him to, I want to get him to kind of explain, just a little bit more about the podcast, if you will, because there's good content sitting there, and like I was saying, it's not content that will go stale. It's content that it's still good. There we go. Sorry. I'm usually better at multitasking than that, but I had to stop and go, huh? What am I typing? Now we'll get back Mark back in here in 1 second as we load this up and get ready to rock. Okay, let's try this. There we go. Yeah, see, that's the beauty of independent radio. You gotta engineer all your own stuff. It's the beauty of live. What can I say?
Hello.
All right, we got him back. We have a connection here.
I was
just saying that's the difference
All right.
between a podcast where you can cut things out in post-production, clean things up. We could have edited that down like crazy and just pretended it didn't happen. However...
Oh, yeah, I cleaned my puppy up. I got a flawless show by the time it hits ears.
Oh, yeah.
But this is fun, too, you know, and I'm sure everyone loves hearing our little... little glitches in our. They find out that we're not actually as perfect as at least as we sound on my show. I know I clean us all up.
Most people think that I'm perfect. I know. I'm sure you have the same problem, Mark. Yeah, it's hard to dispel that commonly held belief that Marc Clair and Brian Engelman are perfect. No, not by any stretch. I think there's a beauty in it, actually, Mark, because it kind of tells everybody, look, you can do this too. You don't have to be perfect. Your product comes out perfect because you do have a little bit of a team. However, the point is things are escalating. We think more people should join, and I just want to remind people, contact us. Contact us because we've started a brand new Blog Talk radio network, blogtalk.com/thenewamericanmedia. We're looking for additional hosts to come in and just do a show from time to time, or a regular show, or an hour show, or maybe a 2-hour show. Weekend show. We're sorting out the details there, but just connect with us. Info at the what is the best email? How about the New American Media at Yahoo? Yeah. Let's do that one, and send us some stuff if you're interested. But Mark, we were talking real quick about the podcast and some of the people you've had on there, and then we got into the state trooper. I think both of those parts were kind of garbled. So if you wanted to just maybe hit reset on some of the highlights of what's going on. I literally don't think we're going to be able to hear what you said for those couple minutes, and I might actually edit that out.
Sure, yeah. Well, then, just to do a little quickie on it. Yeah, like I said, I've been doing the podcast for about a year now, and I really started. It's something that was in my head for a while, and I just kind of got the opportunity to record an interview with someone after that, at their suggestion, Stephen Kinsella. Talking about intellectual property, and that was the day I said, all right, I guess I'm starting the podcast I've always been thinking about, and so I did, and from there I just started contacting other guests, and really a lot of great people, a lot of people I never know how I don't think I ever would talk to otherwise. I'm actually putting together a little clip show right now of some of my favorite guests, so it's funny you asked me about this today, but when else would I talk to G. Edward Griffin for 45 minutes? When else would I talk to Ben Swan for an hour? And that kind of thing, and Walter Block, all these guys I've been reading about and reading their work and seeing their work for so long, and it's just great to actually talk to these people. I mean, even if I wasn't recording it and putting it out there, it's just cool to get to do. But it gives me the forum to do that, and it really gives me the opportunity to, delve into people's philosophies, really push forward the kind of issues that I'm trying to talk about, and issues about individual rights and concerning philosophy, concerning reason, and how we should arrive at our beliefs and that kind of thing. So I really get to explore these issues in a way that I'm not really seeing them, and I don't want to just. I do interview a lot of people that have interviews other places, but I try to do things a little bit differently. I always try to kind of get inside my guest's head and see what they're thinking and see why they believe the way they believe and that kind of thing. So it's really given me a great opportunity to explore that. And if you go over to lionsofliberty.com/podcast, you can find the whole archives there. 53 episodes and going strong. So we're looking good there. And you can also find it on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio. Yeah, and that's become kind of my little passion. I also have to give a shout out to John Daubert, my audio engineer, who I came in contact with through Chris Rossini, another great guy who's been on the show, who's contributed to our website. He's actually Chris Rossini's father-in-law, and he's become my audio engineer, and hooking up with him has been absolutely invaluable because I was doing my own kind of production, my own editing, and I can do it, sort of, like I get how to do it, but it really takes a long time. And John's a pro. He's been working in audio for 40 years. So he really knows how to really smooth things out, make things sound great, and take a lot of valuable time off my hands that I would have to otherwise spend putting into the show. And I can devote that to other things, whether it's recreation once in a while. Believe it or not, sometimes I kick back and take a breather, like we said earlier, but or just focusing on other stuff, or heaven forbid, go out and earn some money once in a while.
Yeah, the Lord knows we all got to take. They say on every airplane, you got to put on your own oxygen mask before you attempt to help your neighbors.
Exactly.
Once again, that's the prepping. It's this personal responsibility angle.
Yeah.
But
I can do podcasts all day long, but if I get broke in the process, it's not going to help anybody because podcasts are going to stop, and then I'm going to be on the street and running from zombies. I'm not going to have new shoes to run with them from. It's just going to be a whole chain of events. So. gotta look out for number one and look out for the homestead first.
Exactly, and I think most people need to be doing that right now. Go through your, just my reminder once again, go through your stuff. Why don't you filter out the stuff you don't need? A garage sale, donate it to Goodwill, put it up on eBay, I don't care. Just thin out the herd a little bit. The clothes you don't need, get in better shape, get some, one extra bottle of your medication, or two if you can, get a couple, get some sort of firearm where you can defend yourself in a worst case scenario, get some extra long-term storable food, long-term storable bottles of water, some sort of water purification device, a hand crank radio, just some of the basics. Do something to get a little bit more prepared. But no, absolutely. Something that you just can never be prepared for is police violence, though. It's obvious if you're a criminal and committing a crime, you're prepared to, oh crap, if something bad happens, this could go south real quick. But this is a story, and we'll wrap it up here, Mark, and I do appreciate your time, and I do want to get you, give out your information one more time about your websites and how to follow you on Twitter and all that jazz. Maybe even give some shout-outs to other members of your team that might want to follow that.
That's all about me. I'm all that matters.
Exactly. You American. But something you can never be prepared for is pulling into a gas station, getting out. You're going in to get something, right? And then all of a sudden a cop's yelling at you, get your ID. You turn around, you get your ID out of the car, and now you're getting shot. Like, how do you prepare for that?
Do we even know why he was asking for his ID in the first place? I mean, why was he even interacting with the guy? Do we have
Here we go.
We just know what's on the video.
Well, according to this report, it says the video showing a shooting involving a state trooper and an unarmed man has been released to the public by police. The video was taken from the dash camera installed inside 31-year-old Sean Grubert's vehicle during an encounter in which Grubert shot 35-year-old Lavar Jones on September 4th at a Circle K gas station on Broad River Road. Department of Public Safety Director Leroy Smith fired Grubert on September 19th after observing the video and reviewing a report from the State Law Enforcement Division. In the video, Grubert...
Well, good. How often do we hear that they're just placed on administrative leave or whatever that is, and they're still getting paid? So, not that the guy doesn't deserve a fair trial in public hearing, he does, but, I think that's the right move, because sometimes a video, like in the Kelly Thomas case, is so obvious that something terrible went on there that, swift action is justified. So I'm glad that they actually did take that action, in this case at least.
Yeah, I guess that's an amazing point to make here, is that Director Leroy Smith fired Grubert right away. It says in the video, Grubert can be heard asking Jones for his license. As soon as Jones reaches inside his vehicle, though, Grubert begins firing his weapon, shouting, "Get on the ground, get on the ground." Jones, who is injured in the hip, stumbles away from the vehicle. He throws up his hands and can be heard asking Grubert, "What did I do? And what did I do, sir?" I'll pick it up from there. I just want to play this audio for everybody that hasn't caught it yet. Cops pulling into the gas station. Guy's getting out of his car. He's looking over.
License, please.
Says, "Let me see your license, please."
Get out of the car! Get out of the car!
He's backing up, hands up. He's going down.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
I just got my license. You said get my license.
I was getting my license. You said get my license.
Put your hands behind your back. 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 Put your hands behind your back.
What did I do, sir?
What did I do, sir?
Are you hit?
I think so. I can't feel my leg. I don't know what happened. I just feel my leg.
Brakes on 866. I need a 1050.
I can't feel my leg.
Why did you shoot me?
Why did you shoot me?
You dove head first back into your car.
I'm sorry.
Well, you dove back head first into your car. I'm sorry. I hate it.
Dove back? He reached in.
He did move fast. I will say he didn't say anything to him. He just went back into the car and he did, but it was a little fast. So what? His commands were.
Should the presumption be that if someone makes a fast motion, that they're? In a way, I can get why if someone really thinks they're about to be shot, you would shoot someone. But it seems like a hasty conclusion to reach too.
Yeah, what I think this is, because if you watch the video, he does move fast. He doesn't move super fast, but he moves a little fast. Just be honest. With anybody watch it. Put yourself in the mindset of you're trained. If someone makes a very fast move, into a vehicle after being, after someone offers a command, yeah, it will happen sometimes where someone comes out with a gun because they're freaked out and they're like, oh crap, here we go, and you've got yourself into a firefight. That being said, he didn't move that fast. That being said, this officer gave crappy commands. You want someone to stand there and just be like, sir, stand still for a second. I need your driver's license right now. Where is that on you? Is that on your person or is it in your vehicle?
If you're going to fly off the handle if he moves into the car, then, have him stand there. And
don't tell him to get his ID, which is in his car. Exactly. I see this, and it looks like a horrible accident. I could see where the officer might have had the wrong perception here, and he deserves to be fired, and he deserves to do jail time. This is horrible that this guy was shot like that. It's just this hyper-militarized thing that's spreading like a cancer through our country. And I've told people before, you and I were together when I was almost thrown down a flight of stairs by LAPD. It was very weird.
Yeah, while drinking your water.
Yeah, while drinking my water, standing at my buddy's place. It's insane. You and I were there. We saw it. We lived it. And this guy just got shot for nothing. But, I mean, wouldn't you say, though, that this is just another case why all police officers need to have cameras that you cannot turn off?
Absolutely. I think every officer should wear. We have dash cams. Everyone, you know how cheap GoPros are. You know how expensive a police cruiser is. Maybe reprioritize some things. Two gallons of gas in those things. You got a GoPro camera, so maybe they should all wear them. Absolutely. And then there doesn't need to be all this confusion. What happened? What happened? Well, we can know. And if you got nothing to hide, there's actually a story in the LAPD. People were disabling their dash cams and their body cams.
Yeah.
And they're reporting them as malfunctioned or something when they really weren't. And So there's got to be a reason. I mean, if you're really defending public safety, you should be absolutely thrilled to have a dash cam and a body cam because it should prove to the world that that's what you're doing, and there shouldn't be confusion. And then if there's a question about what happened, just show them the video of you defending someone's rights and not violating them. But if you're doing the other thing, I want to see it, and we should all see it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that anymore. I wish we had that in Ferguson. I would love to know. I would love to see that. Not love to see it any more than I'd like to see a beheading video, but it would be nice to know what the truth of it is. Instead of a couple stories, or you thought you heard something that maybe you didn't, you thought you saw something you didn't, you had a weird angle, or maybe you have an idea that you're always going to protect the police whenever things go down, or you're always going to be against the police because they're always up to this. Everybody brings in they say that eyewitnesses are some of the most unreliable sources of information, which is really weird. There have been a bunch of studies on this stuff where they'll stage an accident or something out there, and it's kind of like a trick, and they'll stop everybody, like on a college campus or something. And they'll, basically try to figure out what happened. They'll say, oh, the green car did this. It's like, no, there was a red car and a blue car. Okay. Because people don't really pay attention. Cameras, though, you can rewind it and watch it.
They kind of recreate the event in their mind afterwards because they weren't necessarily paying attention to this random thing that happened to them before that, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I just think that's really one of the only things that we have. It's one of the best things that we have to make sure that we can, just get to the truth, like I was saying before, just to get to the truth. And I know that's what you're trying to do at Lions of Liberty. So, tell us again one more time. I appreciate your time today, even going through our technical glitch. Who knows, maybe we'll just leave it in there as is for posterity, to let people know that we are who we are, whether we're wearing makeup or not. And it's no excuse for you not to be more engaged on your Facebook, your Twitter.
You're not going to bring up guyliner again, are you?
Oh man, did I bring up guyliner?
That's a callback. That's a callback.
Wow. So that was the one we did on the podcast a couple months ago, right? On your show.
Yeah, that was the Ferguson one, I think. Brian actually coined the term guyliner. I don't know if it was coined. I'd never heard it before. But I'm not wearing any, by the way. So you can leave everything out there for all I care.
But as a libertarian, you would say, not that there's anything wrong with that. So,
of course, yeah. I believe in everyone's right to wear guyliner, so long as they don't force it upon anyone else.
Come on, guys. All right, so tell us again about Lions of Liberty, how everybody can keep in touch with all of your wheelings and dealings over there, Mark. And thank you again for joining us on the program, buddy.
Sure thing, Brian. I really appreciate it. I just want to say I appreciate everything you are still doing out there all these years later at the New American Media. But, yeah, as far as Lions of Liberty goes, you can find us at lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We have a daily feature called The Morning Roar, so you can log on every single morning and check out a couple stories that we'll find, a lot of stuff that you won't find in the mainstream media. We try to find a couple, interesting stories. I mean, sometimes they're stories that you've already heard, but we try to give our little kind of libertarian spin and that kind of thing. So, we can find that every single day, and we've got all sorts of other features. We got podcasts. We got my podcast. We're teaming up with some other people right now. I got a great guy named Jack Thompson, who does the Political Badger podcast. We're also running his podcast on our site. We have other random features. When I'm not as busy, I'm writing a lot more regularly right now. I'm pretty much staying low-key on that stuff. But, yeah, we hope you can check us out, lionsofliberty.com. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Lions of Liberty. You can also find us on Twitter at Lions of Liberty, Google Plus as well, if you search for us on there. I can't give you the URL. It's something crazy and weird. But and also, as far as the podcast goes, you can find the podcast over our website every single Thursday. It's hosted there. You can also find the whole archive at lionsofliberty.com/podcast. And you can find us on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio. Also, we broadcast on the weekends. It's kind of a re-air of the podcast, but you can find us on dailycallradio.com, at Grassroots Revolution Radio, soon at Truth Be Told Media, which both those other stations are merging into. Excuse me. I'm actually inhaling dust from my dog, picking it up outside right now.
Dog dust.
And also, you can find it on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM, with has a lot of other great names. I just highly recommend that radio network out there, and we re-air there as well. So you can find us all over the place, and we welcome you to join the conversation and, check us out. And hopefully we provide a little bit of a different perspective on things than you're getting other places.
Excellent, Mark. Well, once again, thank you again for your time. Send my love to the rest of the crew, and I'll be over for the next libertarians in living rooms drinking liquor. That much can be certain.
Rock on. I got an extra spot in the living room.
All right, buddy. Thank you much. No dog dust. You gotta no dog dust before we do, but I'll be there, my man.
Yeah.
All right, have a good weekend. We'll talk to you again soon. Everybody go check out lionsofliberty.com. Once again, please go and check out our homepage.com, The New American Media. On the bottom right-hand page, you can also find our the link for Twitter. We're at American_Media_. On Facebook, do a search for The New American Media and like the page with spaces in between, The New American Media. And do us a favor, do the subscribe thing, youtube.com/The New American Media. Man, it's good to be back. Unfortunately, a lot of crazy stuff going on, but I appreciate you. I love you. I'm out. Peace.